Hello. Not sure if that worked. Looks like it did. It says it's recording, so we'll just go from there. Hey, it's Wednesday, or Wednesday's assignment, number 4 in the COVID-19 documenting history. What you're going to do with this assignment is come down here, and there's a couple different parts. The first thing we really want to talk to you about was the idea that, like, when events happen, different people experiencing them differently. And to be aware that what's happening in New York City is not necessarily that's happening in Beaverton, Oregon, is not necessarily what's happening in Seattle, Washington, or Louisiana, right? Like, all these different places, people experience things differently, depending on what kind of work they do, where they live, how rich, how poor they are. So people experience, like, historical events differently. And so we have an assignment. You're going to be looking at some more documents. In this one, I only want you looking at, you're only required to look at one document. It's an auditory document. It is from OPB. It's a news story that aired earlier this year, about 10 days ago, once again around April 9th, talking about Mexican Americans, farm workers, and how they ended up learning more about this and how news got out to them. And it's an interesting piece. Once you listen to it, I want you to come through and I want you to fill out these level 1 questions. Determine who the author is, determine what's the important information in the document. Once again, just like if you're reading, sometimes you have to go back and reread. Sometimes when you're listening to a document, you have to go back and listen. So take some time to do that. Where and when was this created and why? And then finally, like, how does this pertain? Like, what does this tell us about our essential questions? And our essential question, once again, are what are the most important things future generations should know, right, about life in COVID-19? And this is only one document, so it doesn't answer that question entirely, but it can answer just a small piece of it. So if you can find the answer, it's really good. Last week, with your answers for these, I was really impressed by a lot of the work you guys did. And we'll talk about that on Wednesday. There's another document in here that's optional if you want to take time to do that. But I wanted to make sure you had time for your assignment. And the assignment, once again, is you documenting history. So what we like you to do is simply to interview someone you know. There are 4 questions right here. What is the hardest thing about living during the COVID-19 pandemic? The second question is, how do you think life will be different after COVID-19 pandemic is over? What is one thing you have enjoyed about the stay-at-home order? And when did you realize that this was a big deal? Pick someone who's going to talk a lot. You could text someone back and forth, or you could email someone these questions. If there's a grandparent you haven't reached out to in a little bit, or would like to hear this for a school project, you could interview a parent. But the idea is that you're seeing how someone else is perceiving this and what takeaways or what they're thinking. So that's the assignment. Now, you can use this and just type out what they said, and that would be perfectly fine. If you're really good at recording and transferring that recording onto Canvas, you can do that as well. You could do a Zoom chat that is recorded as long as you have that person's permission. You could do a chat and just have the audio portion. There's a lot of ways to do this. However you want to do it is fine. But what you're going to do is ask someone other than yourself these 4 questions and have a conversation about what is going All right, and then you're going to go ahead and turn this in for your assignment. That's a wrap. Once again, if you have any questions, email me. I'm always available.